Okay, imagine this. A wine region, kind of tucked away on an island that's really making a name for itself with these distinctly cool climate wines. Today, we're diving deep into Tasmanian wines using all the great material you shared, our mission, to really pull out the most fascinating bits about this unique Australian spot. Its history, its land, the grapes, how the wines are made, what they taste like, food pairings, and, its place in the bigger wine world.
Yeah, and we've got some really comprehensive stuff here. The great introduction, then sections digging into the history, how it all started, how it's changed. Then the terroir. We're
Yeah.
looking at climate, soil, the lay of the land, plus specific details on red and white grapes, the winemaking itself, those sensory profiles, food pairings, and where it stands in the market now. And there's even a sommelier's take and a look at why Tasmania is becoming so important.
Exactly. So, what we want for you, the listener, is to get right to the heart of what makes these wines special. Find those aha moments, get a really good feel for it, but, without getting totally lost in the weeds. All right, let's kick things off. What makes Tasmania different? What jumps out first from the sources?
Well, the first thing that really hits you is Tasmania's clear identity. It's a cool climate maritime region, and that immediately sets it apart from, a lot of the mainland Australian regions, which are often much warmer, sometimes really quite hot. This cooler environment is absolutely fundamental to the character of the wines.
Okay, so cooler climate. What does that actually mean for the wine in the bottle? What do we taste?
Right. So think about it this way. Those cooler temperatures, plus the longer growing season that comes with it, they lead to this remarkable purity and elegance. Freshness, too. The grapes basically get more time to ripen slowly, gradually. That means they can build up all these complex aromas and flavors, but, and this is key, they hold on to their natural acidity. It's not rushed.
Ah, so you don't get those really big, maybe sometimes jammy flavors you find in hotter places. It's more refined.
Precisely. That slow, even ripening is
Mm.
crucial. It builds that vibrant acidity, gives the wines lift alongside more intricate smells and delicate tastes. It's just a different kind of expression.
The sources also mention that terroir isn't just one uniform thing across the island. It's pretty diverse.
Yeah, that's a really good point. It's not just about the cool air. The land itself varies a lot. We're talking different soil types. You've got volcanic soils, sandy ones, clay-based soils, all shaped by the island's geology and that constant ocean influence. That maritime factor often brings in a kind of distinct minerality as well.
Minerality. Okay, people hear that word a lot. What does that actually feel like when you're tasting?
It's tricky to pin down, but think like um, a stony feeling.
Hmm.
Sometimes almost a little salty tang right at the end, like licking wet rocks maybe. Scientists are still figuring out the exact chemistry, but it often links back to how the vine roots interact with minerals in the ground. In Tasmania, it seems tied to that mix of soils and the sea air.
And the scale of production sounds different too. Boutique, artisanal. What does that imply?
It implies lots of smaller producers.
Yeah.
They're really focused on quality, not just pumping out huge volumes. This hands-on artisanal approach usually means, paying super close attention to every little detail.
Hmm.
In the vineyard, in the winery, that dedication really shows in the final product and helps build that quality reputation.
Sounds great for quality, but does being smaller make it harder to compete globally?
It can, yeah. Logistics can be trickier, cost per bottle might be higher, but on the flip side, it lets them focus on that premium end, create unique wines that stand out. They can carve out a niche.
Okay, so we've got this cool climate, sea-influenced terroir, quality focus, passionate small producers. But it wasn't always like this, right? What about the history?
No, not at all. The story actually starts way back in the 19th century with European settlers. But it was tough going. They faced challenges with the climate. It wasn't easy, and they didn't always know which grapes would actually do well there.
And being an island, getting wine out must have been hard back then.
Definitely. The sources point out production was pretty small initially. Geographical isolation, transport difficulties. It was a whole different ballgame compared to now.
So when did things change? What sparked this revival the sources mention?
That really kicked off around the 1970s. A new wave of people, sort of pioneers, saw the potential. They realized Tasmania could make truly excellent, cool climate wines, especially things like sparkling wine, Pinot Noir, Chardonnay, the grapes it's now famous for.
It sounds like a real mindset shift, not just making wine, but making quality wine for a bigger stage.
Exactly. The focus moved from just quantity to really picking the right grapes for the right spots, using techniques to showcase the fruit. That Renaissance period was absolutely vital for building the reputation they have today.
Let's dig into that terroir more, the cool maritime climate. What specific parts make it so good for these grapes?
Okay, breaking it down. The Southern Ocean's influence is huge. It just keeps average temperatures lower than the mainland. And the mild summers mean that slow ripening we talked about, essential for keeping acidity high while letting those complex aromas develop.
Cooler's good, but are there downsides? Like, is it harder to get grapes fully ripe sometimes?
That's a fair point. Cooler climates can make consistent ripening a challenge, especially if you get a particularly cool or short season. But Tasmania has a bit of an ace up its sleeve. Its latitude means longer daylight hours during the growing season. That often helps compensate, allowing for full ripeness even if the heat isn't intense.
So, more gentle sunlight over a longer period rather than intense heat.
Precisely. And the well-defined seasons matter too. That long, cool growing period is perfect for developing phenols, things like color, tannins, and all those aromatic compounds.
And the ocean breezes, they do more than just cool things down.
Right. Yeah, they have a couple of benefits. They help stop extreme heat spikes in summer, which can stress the vines. And in winter, they can actually lessen the frost risk in some spots. Plus, that constant airflow helps keep the vines healthy, reduces disease risk by drying things out.
Moving beyond climate, the sources really stress the soil diversity. What's happening underfoot?
It's like a geological patchwork quilt, seriously.
Hmm.
Tasmania's ancient history and varied landscape mean you get this amazing mix. There are volcanic soils, basalt-derived, which hold water well, often good for structure and reds.
Like a sponge, right, helping the vine stay hydrated.
Exactly. Then you have sedimentary soils, sandstone, shale, which can add that minerality and affect acidity. And down in the valleys, you often find alluvial soils, usually fertile and well-drained.
Sounds like each soil type could give a really different signature to the wine.
Absolutely. A Pinot Noir from volcanic soil might feel and taste quite different from one on sandstone nearby. That variation across subregions is key to the diversity. And good drainage, which many top sites have, is crucial for concentrating those great flavors.
Speaking of subregions, can you give us a quick tour? What makes each area distinct?
Sure, let's start up north in the Tamar Valley. Generally milder mix of soils. Known for really good sparkling, Pinot Noir, often red fruit, silky tannins, and Chardonnay. Then head northeast to Piper's River. Cooler, more maritime, volcanic soils, famous for top-tier sparkling and really elegant Pinot.
Okay, north and northeast covered. How about down south and east?
Right, south to the Coal River Valley. It's a bit drier, maybe slightly warmer than the north. Diverse soils again. Here the Pinot often shows darker fruit, firmer tannins, also lovely Chardonnay and aromatic Riesling. Then west of Hobart, the Derwent Valley. Cool alluvial and clay loam soils. Known for elegant Pinot, bright red fruit, soft tannins, and Chardonnay with minerality, finesse. And finally, the East Coast. Drier, sunnier, diverse soils. Pinot here can be riper, fuller. Chardonnay might have subtle tropical hints. Always that maritime feel, though.
Wow, so even within that cool climate label, there's a lot of variation.
Exactly. The cool climate and ocean influence are the common threads, giving that acidity and freshness. But those subtle differences in microclimate, soil, elevation, they create this fascinating range of styles.
The sources also mention latitude, being further south. How does that play out?
Well, being down at 41 degrees to 43 degrees south means longer daylight hours during summer, during the growing season. So the grapes get more sunlight overall, which aids that slow, full ripening. But crucially, it happens without losing that vital acidity because it's not intense heat.
More sun, less bake. Got it. What about altitude? Some vineyards are higher up.
Yeah, altitude plays a role too.
Hmm.
Higher sites mean cooler little microclimates, even within the generally cool region. You also get a bigger swing between day and night temperatures, diurnal range. That temperature drop at night is great for locking in aromas and keeping acidity high. Adds to the freshness and complexity.
So it's this complex dance: latitude, oceans, soils, altitude, all shaping this unique Tasmanian character. Okay, let's talk grapes. Pinot Noir seems to be the big star.
Oh, absolutely. It's really found its happy place in Tasmania's cool climate. The wines tend to have these lovely, complex red fruit aromas, cherry, raspberry, vibrant acidity, and really fine, elegant tannins, not harsh at all. They have great balance and can age beautifully, developing more earthy, complex notes over time. And like we said, you get those regional differences too, reflecting the terroir.
Any other reds making waves?
You might find a bit of Cabernet Sauvignon or Syrah in warmer pockets, but honestly, the main red focus is overwhelmingly Pinot Noir. That's what Tasmania is really known for internationally in reds.
And the whites. Chardonnay sounds like a major player.
Definitely. It's the most planted white grape, actually. Super important for both their fantastic sparkling wines and their really elegant still Chardonnays. The sparkling, often blended with Pinot Noir, gets huge international praise. Still, Chardonnays usually have that bright acidity, citrus, and white fruit notes, and can get extra complexity from things like lees aging or a touch of oak.
Pulling double duty then, sparkling and still. What about Sauvignon Blanc? Sounds like it thrives there.
It really does. Tasmania seems ideal for Sauvignon Blanc to show its true colors. You get that classic refreshing acidity, the grassy or herbaceous notes, but also vibrant tropical fruit. And often that hint of minerality too, adding another layer. Generally best enjoyed young and fresh.
And Riesling seems to be gaining more and more attention.
Yes, absolutely. Tasmanian Riesling is getting known for its vibrant, almost electric acidity, a really refined minerality, and its ability to age incredibly well. As they get older, they can develop those complex honey and sometimes kerosene notes that Riesling lovers look for. Young, they're pure, precise, often floral and citrusy.
Any other whites adding to the mix?
You'll find some Pinot Gris and Gewürztraminer, too, added to the diversity. Pinot Gris often gives softer textures, subtle fruit. Gewürztraminer brings those intense exotic aromatics it's famous for.
It really sounds like a strategic focus on grapes that just work in that cool climate.
That's exactly it. They figured out which varieties really sing in their specific conditions, allowing them to reach their full potential. That focus on cool climate stars is a huge part of Tasmania's success in its unique style.
Okay, so the right grapes in the right place. How do they actually make the wine? What goes on in the vineyard and winery?
Well, managing the vineyard in a cool climate requires specific approaches. Pruning is really important, managing how much fruit the vine carries so it can all ripen properly. Trellising how the vines are trained is key too, maximizing sun exposure but also airflow to help prevent diseases.
Which must be a concern in a maritime climate with potential humidity.
Exactly. So careful disease and pest management is vital, and you're seeing more and more growers moving towards sustainable, organic, even biodynamic methods, which is great. Frost can also be a risk in spring, so sometimes you'll see things like sprinklers or heaters used for protection in vulnerable spots.
And once the grapes are picked, what happens then?
For still wines, reds, whites, rosés, fermentation is usually in stainless steel tanks with temperature control. That helps keep those fresh fruit aromas we've been talking about. For reds, some might use open-top fermenters to get more color and tannin. Aging varies. Some stay in steel for usefulness. Others, especially top Pinot and Chardonnays, might see French oak for added complexity and structure.
And the sparkling wines, how are those made? They get so much praise.
Right, the top Tasmanian sparklings are almost always made using the traditional method. Just like champagne. That means a second fermentation happens right there in the bottle. That's what creates the bubbles and adds complexity. Chardonnay and Pinot Noir are the main grapes. A key thing for many of the best ones is long aging on lees, the spent yeast. That develops those yeasty brioche biscuity notes and that really fine, creamy bubble texture.
So across all the styles, is there a kind of guiding philosophy for Tasmanian winemakers?
I'd say yes. Generally, it's about seeking elegance, balance, and really letting the terroir speak through the wine. Oak, when it's used, tends to be handled thoughtfully, aiming to support the wine, add subtle complexity, but not dominate the fruit and acidity. And that shift towards sustainability, organics, biodynamics, that's becoming a really strong part of the philosophy too. Quality and environmental care going hand in hand.
Okay, we understand the place, the grapes, the methods. Now the fun part. What do they actually taste like? Let's go on a sensory journey.
So starting with the reds, especially Pinot Noir. You'll typically see a bright ruby color. Smell-wise, think fresh red fruits, cherry, raspberry, maybe strawberry. Often some subtle earthy notes, maybe a touch of spice like pepper or clove, sometimes floral hints too. On the palate, they're usually elegant, defined by that vibrant acidity, fine tannins present, but smooth medium body and a nice long finish. With age, they can develop more savory notes, leather, tobacco, forest floor kind of thing. And remember, those regional differences add another layer of interest.
So generally lighter, more elegant than, say, some warmer climate Pinot.
Generally, yes. The cool climate really highlights the brighter fruit and that lively acidity. Now, the whites. Let's start with Chardonnay.
What's typical for a Tassie Chardonnay?
You'll often find that trademark, vibrant acidity, medium body. Aromas lean towards citrus lemon, grapefruit, white fruits like apple and pear, maybe subtle floral notes. Depending on how it's made, you might get hints of yeast or brioche from lees aging, or a gentle toastiness from oak.
And Sauvignon Blanc. Sounds quite expressive there.
Definitely. You get that crisp acidity, the typical grassy or herbaceous notes, but also really vibrant tropical fruit, passion fruit, guava. Often with that mineral edge we mentioned, adding freshness.
And Riesling, which we look for.
Tasmanian Riesling really shines with its minerality and zesty acidity. Aromas are often lime, lemon, delicate florals like jasmine or orange blossom. And with age, they can develop those fascinating kerosene notes that are characteristic of mature Riesling.
And the sparkling, can't forget those. What's the experience like?
You'll notice really fine, persistent bubbles, a good mousse. They have that lively acidity, making them refreshing. Aromas often mix fresh apple and pear with those lovely yeasty, biscuity brioche notes from the traditional method. Longer aged ones might show nutty or honeyed hints.
So, common threads seem to be that vibrant acidity, freshness, pure fruit, and minerality, all reflecting the cool climate. Any tips for tasting them?
Yeah, definitely think about serving temperature. Serve the Pinot slightly cool, maybe cellar temp to keep them fresh. Chill the whites and sparklings well to highlight the acidity and aromatics. Glassware makes a difference too. Use the right shape for the style. And just, take your time. Swirl, sniff, savor. Let the wine open up. You'll appreciate the nuances more.
Okay, great sense of the wines now. Let's
Right.
talk food. What works well with Tasmanian wines?
Oh, they're incredibly versatile. They pair beautifully with Tasmania's own amazing local food, but also lots of international dishes. Think about Tasmanian produce. Super fresh seafood oysters, lobster scallops, amazing salmon, high-quality cheeses, fantastic lamb, lots of fresh veggies.
Sounds like a feast waiting to happen. How do the wines match up?
Okay, sparkling wine. Perfect with those fresh oysters. Any light seafood, appetizers, even something like tempura. That acidity cuts through beautifully. Pinot Noir, classic with the local lamb, roast or grilled. Also great with duck, chicken, mushroom dishes, even richer fish like salmon. Its earthiness and red fruit works so well.
What about the Chardonnays? They sound like they could handle richer food.
Exactly. The structure and acidity in Chardonnay make it great with salmon or trout, seafood and creamy sauces, poultry, medium firm cheeses. It cuts through the richness but has enough body. And the crisp Sauvignon Blanc and Riesling, ideal for delicate whitefish, shellfish, salads, even Asian dishes with citrus or light spice. Their brightness is key.
You keep mentioning acidity being important for pairing. Why is that?
That vibrant acidity is like a palate cleanser. It cuts through richness and fat in food, refreshes your mouth, makes you ready for the next bite, the next sip. It creates balance.
And the structure in Pinot and Chardonnay, how does that help?
Well, the structure, especially in wines meant for aging, means they can stand up to more intensely flavored or textured dishes without getting lost. The tannins in Pinot, though fine, provide enough grip for meat. The subtle oak sometimes found in Chardonnay can complement richer sauces beautifully.
Any final tips for listeners wanting to pair Tassie wines with food?
Yeah, remember, serving temps matter for food too. Use decent glassware. Don't be afraid to experiment. But using fresh, quality ingredients really helps the wine shine. And think about both contrasts like acidity cutting, richness, and synergy where flavors complement each other. Both can make great pairings.
So, established quality, great tasting experience, versatile with food. Where does Tasmania stand now in the global market, and what's the future looking like?
It's definitely gained significant recognition, winning lots of awards nationally and internationally. That's boosted its reputation and demand.
Are there specific producers or wines that have really led the charge?
For sure. In sparkling, names like House of Arras, Jans, Taltarni have been key in showing that world-class quality. For still wines, producers like Tolpuddle Vineyard, Pooley Wines, Stefano Lubiana, Marilla Estate, they consistently make stunning wines, really showcasing the terroir.
Sounds like a real collective effort. The sources also mention wine tourism, eno-tourism. How important is that?
Hugely important. It's thriving. Visitors get these amazing experiences, vineyard tours, meeting the winemakers' tastings. Often there are food links too, collaborations with local restaurants, all set in that beautiful scenery. That direct connection builds loyalty and really helps the region grow sustainably.
What about challenges? What hurdles does the industry face?
Well, like everywhere, climate change is a big one, thinking about impacts on acidity, ripening. Vintage variation differences year to year is always something cool climates navigate. And production costs can be higher, being smaller scale on an island. That can be an economic challenge.
But despite that, the future outlook sounds pretty positive.
Very positive, yes. The opportunities are significant. That unique, cool climate terroir is a massive asset, especially with global demand for these styles growing. Their reputation for quality is strong. Enotourism offers more growth potential. The key going forward is maintaining that quality focus, continuing to innovate in the vineyard and winery, adapting to environmental changes, and really promoting that unique Tasmanian story.
Well, this has been a truly fantastic deep dive into Tasmanian wines. It's just so clear they offer something really unique and special. That cool climate elegance, the bright acidity, pure fruit, that sense of place.
Absolutely. From the amazing sparkling wines that can stand alongside the world's best,
Hmm?
to refined Pinot Noir, elegant Chardonnay, zesty Sauvignon Blanc, age-worthy Riesling, Tasmania really shows off its terroir and the passion of its producers.
So, for you listening, maybe think about how all those factors, like the cool sea air, the ancient soils, that southern latitude, and long daylight, how they all intertwine to create the unique character in a bottle of Tasmanian wine. Makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other places have similar fascinating stories told through their wines? Perhaps your next wine adventure could be exploring another cool climate gem using what you've learned today. Cheers to that.